The agricultural sector directly and indirectly employs close to 53% of the total labor force in Zambia. Agriculture is therefore a major source of income for most households, with which they support their livelihoods, and also a primary source of food. In 2015, the agricultural sector contributed 8.1% to the gross domestic product, GDP.
Ukulima kwa ndivyo kwaba epo nchita depend sana. Ero kairinga na alima ifine fituma abana ku skulu no kulyafye bwino ine nangulire mwaya munganda mulesanga amabags yemu yali amataba. Tayapwa iyo. So ichiri kyonse fe muine mufuma nendala amashonse sho momfya pano. Fifuma muno muine mu. Mumushirifi. Icho nisanga okutila ati omushiringa fya bakawunda balela ndati go back to the land. Bale baba kukalyoko na isaka tepinga bwino nalisanga kuti kala bomba fya bwino.
Despite the agricultural sector contributing to household and national food security and generation of income, nutritional insecurity is relatively high in the country. Despite many efforts to improve the nutrition status, Zambia still has high malnutrition rates. According to 2013-2014 Demographic Health Survey Zambia, 40% of the children below the age of 5 are stunted or too short for their age. This indicates chronic malnutrition. In 2001, the stunting rate was close to 50% of the children below the age of 5. In this documentary, we look at a connection between agriculture, food security, and nutrition. But before we delve into that, let us understand what the main elements of nutrition are.
Optimal nutritional status is a situation where the population or individuals are consuming what is needed by their bodies. Now, a consumption of food or nutrients below their recommended requirements is what is called undernutrition. So undernutrition is a term that is used to describe a form of malnutrition where individuals are inadequately consuming what is optimum for their for their requirements. There are several factors that determine undernutrition. We have what we call immediate factors, underlying factors, and basic factors. Now, immediate factors of nourishment or undernourishment imply that the individual is not consuming food to the expected standard. So they are under eating. Even if they eat accordingly, maybe the body is not in a form which can utilize those nutrients. So inadequate with the food that is available and cause undernourishment. Then, of course, at a global level, we have basic factors that determine. We have certain policies in place that may influence food security. We have policies in place that may influence the environmental protection, environmental management, and that in itself may also influence water and sanitation related aspects and lead to disease. So those are the determinant factors of undernourishment in the, whether at personal level or at provincial level or at national level. And what you see, for example, in our country, you see that Zambia right now, we have a problem of undernourishment. Undernutrition is quite a big problem in our country. Several studies, recent studies that have been conducted have shown, for example, that among the farmers themselves, 3 months after harvest, the farmers are food insecure. Now, if the producers of food are affected in that context, then certainly there is a bigger problem than what we can actually see. Because if the producers of food are food insecure, are not consuming adequately, then that is a problem. So we have a problem of undernutrition in our country. The current stunting among children is 40%. And the interpretation is that these children are not adequately consuming food. In all children deaths, 52% is attributable to nutrition. Every child death that you see, amongst the two, one is as a result of undernutrition.
In northern province of Zambia, malnutrition levels are relatively high. Traditional dependency on production and consumption of the same type of food has resulted in poor nutrition.
In terms of general as food security per se, I think we have no problem as a district. Where we have a problem, it is on the part of nutrition. Yeah, in the district we have very high rates of malnutrition, particularly in children under 5 years. And from the statistics, from a survey conducted in 2010, it has been mentioned that the stunting rate in children under 5 stands at 53.4%, which is actually very high. Yeah, so there is those high rates of malnutrition in our district.
Currently, we are at 40% malnutrition. That is especially stunting children under 5 years of age. So malnutrition has been very prevalent in our district, like Kwashoka. But for stunting, it takes time for people to see that this one is stunted. But for Kwashoka, Chifimba, that you'll find the legs swollen, the feet.
This has been compounded by the insufficient and lack of nutrition education amongst communities in both urban and rural areas. Their survival from the wrath of malnutrition is clearly due to availability of different foods, which they unknowingly balance up to get rid of hunger.
Kubanga fama kusambilishiwa sana ifwe twaishiwa fye kusambilisha pali nutrition ifye fyakulya fifwile fyakanikana nangu ifo fifwile fyaliwa shitatwasambilishiwa sana shakwata idea sana ine naishiwa fyati ifwile nalya fye fyakulya fyapusana pusana ifyakuti ningeshibati ifyaba muri nanikane nangu ifyabomu nangu ifyabomu ifyefo shaishiwa bwino icho naishiwa fye chakutira fye.
Just like in northern province, malnutrition levels in Luapula are quite high.
Luapula is one of the provinces that are quite poor, meaning that even the poverty levels are quite high. So in terms of nutrition, we have high level of malnutrition amongst the under 5s, as well as stuntedness. And also because of the challenges we have in terms of protein availability, even some of the adults, they are actually deficient in protein. We have a lot of energy sources in form of cassava and maize, but due to the depletion of fish resources, most of the families are not able to take the dairy requirement for proteins. So the situation is quite critical.
In Mwense district, we have the malnutrition levels which as high as 30 to 40% sometimes, especially in our rural communities. Not because of anything, but just because they don't have a variety of food they should eat.
Luapula province has a large area covered by water, making fishing the main activity in most areas of the region. Limited sources of crop and livestock production are the main causes of malnutrition, especially on the islands where fishing is the main activity.
Kwena turalima kalundwe tureshako okulima n'amaka nomba iresa mukuivira kai mwali mona paroni pamenshi twabanga mwati mwenderereko palya mwanasanga fya menshi ali mupepe turesha okulima fyaibira fyaonaika nechipowe parapinita chatara chiputuka chena nimpaka lesa akaona oli sonde turesha kwebati bapanga ifyakulya awe firesa mukubipafi bwali bulesa mukubobwana kasana kuna kafyo kwisaba muri porridge pano njishire nga bachinanishi nabonaika na ono bulwele bwa nsala echo kuno bushakatera buputukira muri yo ino musango kwena kwati kwamba pali 3 years kuya pantanshi bonse bali katu ne ine size para tebererwa na bena.
Malnutrition levels in Ilunga district I would say are quite high compared to other areas. Because most of these other areas like Zambia and our colleagues in other areas on the upland, farmers allow their crops to grow to the full maturity stage. But in Ilunga, because of the water, especially after it has rained towards maybe January, farmers that have actually planted the crop within the same period are forced to harvest because the area actually becomes waterlogged. Hence, if the crop is actually harvested before its full maturity stage, you don't actually expect bigger tubers and high yield. And if the yield is actually low, it means that a particular household will not actually have enough food to feed the entire household. Hence, you expect a challenge. There's actually a challenge in terms of malnutrition in the area because the children are not actually given adequate, and the quantity is also, the quantity is not actually enough to meet the demands of the requirements of the children.
The Indaba Agricultural Policy Research Institute, IAPRI, a multi-stakeholder think tank, does research to understand the linkages between agriculture and nutrition.
IAPRI, through its agriculture, food and nutrition thematic area, carries out research which is aimed at generating evidence and formulating policy options on food access, food supply, food utilization, and of course the effects on nutrition. And we also carry out research to try and monitor the progress on food and nutrition security in the country. Other than that, we also want to identify what are the barriers to food and nutrition security in the country. In relation to agriculture, we have done some studies on the effects, for example, of agricultural diversification at household level, agriculture commercialization. We've also looked at the contribution of forest foods. Ultimately, we want to help direct policy which helps to reduce the high levels of malnutrition in Zambia. As you know, we are talking about 40% of the children under the age of 5 suffering from stunted growth. So we want to help or contribute to the formulation of policy as well as monitoring the impact of that policy on child nutrition.
One of the main concerns that is generally raised between agriculture and nutrition is what effect agriculture commercialization has on nutrition outcomes in households. There are those who say that when rural households commercialize, they become more nutritionally vulnerable. Is this true?
We need to specify what type of nutrition status we are looking at. There's short-term nutrition status, which is acute malnutrition in children. And then there's also the long-term, which is the stunting rates of children. So commercialization has proved to be significant in reducing both short-term and long-term malnutrition rates at very high levels. So Southern Province, you find that most of the farmers will grow a lot of maize, and they also keep a lot of livestock, which they sell. Most of it reach the market. And because of that, they're able to purchase those foods that they don't have. But at the same time, they also grow a bit of groundnuts and a bit of beans. So you find that in a household, they'll have maize at least throughout the year. Then they also have a bit of horticultural produce, which they also grow. So in that case, you find that they have adequate food, and at least the levels are not as high as other provinces. But not to say that there isn't a problem. The problem is there. On average, as a country, malnutrition rates are high. As you have heard, we are talking about 40% stunting rates. So the malnutrition is there, but at least it's lower than these other provinces where commercialization is low.
Food is there. They grow a lot of food. They have a lot of food. Some you may even find that they have a lot of chicken at their homes. They have grown beans. They have maybe bags and bags. They have soya beans. They have everything. But for them, what they want is to sell out. They don't want to consume within their home. In short, I can say they are interested in marketing. Or what they want is money. When our farmers, they have money, then they say, we have done it with farming. Yes.
So the first thing, before we even think of selling any type of food we grow, first if we tuwaichingilila kumalwele ayoyesa mulandu wa kubulisha ifyakulia.
For farmers, what they need to produce for home consumption as well as for sale, because that's where their income comes from. But what we need to do as a ministry is to, teach these people or impart knowledge in them that as you produce, you need to reserve enough for home consumption. For home consumption. But I think sometimes what is causing overselling basically, it's actually lack of planning. Lack of planning. So that they need to set aside, how much do I set aside for home consumption? How much do I sell? They are always, attracted by money, and you just, you sell everything, which is not supposed to be the case. So we are really encouraging commercialization. At the same time, we are also focusing issues of improving nutrition among our farmers.
What about the crop diversity at household level? What effect does that have on nutritional outcomes?
Pangande fyo tulima amataba, beans, nembalala, na soya beans, filefe na orange nishitwalilima, nenkonde, mkwa. Na ku garden na lepu ine na cabbage, na libondwe, ziyama vegetable. Tunashita filefe nga twalima. Fimo twamu kushtisha, fimo twambo kulia filefe ine nishitule tola mwanangu nanikane vitamin A. Nishitule kula bwino no mulopo kubika mu mubiri. Na nanikane amataba na nanikane na beans nga twashtisha twamukushita fimo fyakulia panganda limbo ashita nanikane to ka bread limbo ashita sugar washita nanikane umunani filefe nishimulelia na nanikane nalopia lumo mwaisa sunga na futi mwalima.
Our research already shows that in as much as promoting agriculture diversification is important, we need to identify levels of diversification, because again, extremely high levels of diversification tend to reduce the effect on nutrition, because the household is growing just a bit of everything, which is not adequate to supply the amount of nutrients that the household requires. On the other hand, again, too little diversification may also have negative effects, because again, you are dependent on one single crop. So you need a certain level of diversification to promote among the smallholder households. If I give you the examples of provinces where they are highly diversified, according to our research, we've seen that provinces like Eastern Province, they grow almost everything. You find groundnuts, you find cotton, you find maize, sweet potatoes, beans. And then you also look at provinces like Luapula and Northern Province. There you also find cassava, millet, sorghum. Again, they grow too much of everything. So they are highly diversified provinces. So on the other hand, we find that those provinces also have higher levels of malnutrition, actually above the national average. And then there are provinces like Central, Lusaka, Copperbelt, Southern Province, which are more specialized, mostly maize production, but of course with a bit of other crops. We find that the levels of malnutrition in those provinces are slightly lower. Of course, diversification is not the only determinant. There are also other factors at play, but our research shows that too much of diversification does not really promote nutrition. So we should promote diversification, but to a certain level.
The role of us as agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture here, is just to promote, production of diverse foods, the foods which should be made available. We should ensure that there must be foods to do with, which include carbohydrates, proteins, as well as even minerals and vitamins. So for us also, what we are trying to do as a ministry, we know that we produce enough of these grains and and other foods. We are focusing much more on the fruit production to ensure that the people produce fruits. We are focusing much more so on vegetable production.
Livestock and fisheries are also a critical form of agricultural diversification. They are important sources of both income and proteins.
Our diet in Zambia has very low diversity because our staple crop maize is the dominant part of our nutrition, but then cattle, fish, chickens, and others are very important for protein. Fish are very important to the nutrition of everybody, but in particular women of reproductive age and children who need it for their cognitive and physical development. Because when children eat fish, their brain develops very well, and also they get, especially the small pelagic species of fish, they offer more micronutrients such as zinc, iron, and calcium, because they are eaten whole with their bones and organs and head. Consuming fish in itself is not dangerous per se. One can never eat too much fish. However, consumption of fish should be coupled with other types of animal source protein, from beef, from chickens, even insects, and of course other food types such as green leafy vegetables and fruits.
We are focusing more also on the small livestock, like chickens, which we have chickens which are called the black roasts, which we bought from Eastern Province, and these are able to produce a large quantity of eggs in a short time. So these eggs are supposed to be given to the children for home consumption. So that is it. We're also looking at making goats available, those which can produce milk. Milk from goats is quite rich, and then it should be fed to the children and other things. So also, in addition to that, we are looking at biofortified foods, like crops. We are promoting orange maize. We are promoting orange fresh cassava, We are promoting even certainly like the stand beans, which has zinc content. Yeah, all those, that's what we are focusing on as a ministry, you know, to make these available.
In this first episode, we have discussed what nutrition is and some of the effects that agriculture works with nutrition. We have discussed the effects of crop diversification and commercialization. In the next episode, we will discuss gender issues and the effects it has on nutrition, and also look at non-timber forest products and their connection to nutrition.